My salary was $75,000. Very serviceable. So after I left there, product school, networking, ended up landing a role at IBM and actually doubled my salary from there. Spent some time at IBM, really great experience, learned, talked to a lot of people. Amazon came along and I doubled my salary again with total compensation involved a little bit over that.
Today's episode, we have Tristan, who is a senior product manager at Amazon and an alumni of Product School, a product management bootcamp. Welcome to the show, Tristan.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you so much for having me.
So you were actually already working as a startup already, where you wore many hats and you had some experience already doing very similar kind of product management functions as I guess you would do today as a full-fledged product manager. Can you tell us more about that experience working at the startup?
It was a very early startup. It was four of us there sitting in the same room with the CEO and COO, just planning where we're going to be at from pre-seed to Series A and wearing multiple hats. My title was operations manager, but you wear different hats such as data analyst and product management, which is what I really fell in love with. And I had no idea that I was already doing that role of building features, understanding customer pain points and talking to the engineers, wireframing, all that good stuff you hear about product management. I was kind of already doing that, not knowing that there's an entire discipline dedicated to that. It wasn't until I saw different job listings for product managers when I learned, oh, this is an entire discipline. And that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole, product management.
First of all, like you're saying, discovering what is a product manager, like that's even a job, or like what does that even mean?
Mhm.
Like that's already one big hurdle. But then after you know that, getting into the role almost seems like there's so many different paths to get there. What are your thoughts on like the approach that you took? Like if someone out there doesn't, let's say they don't have an MBA, which they might believe they need to become a product manager, maybe they don't have necessarily a tech background, but they're interested in pursuing this career. Is that a path that you'd recommend going to work at a startup so you can get this kind of experience?
Hey, the easiest way to become a product manager is if you're at a company that has product management, try and shadow a product manager. That's not an option, then definitely networking and trying to put yourself into that position. And when I say networking, you're networking with a purpose. You never know who's on the other end of that call. And this is how I got, some of my previous roles. You never know who you're talking to. It could be a hiring manager, somebody with influence. So when you're talking to them, you want to talk from a position of power, show that you already understand the discipline of product management. You already know the lingo and things of that nature. So you're not coming across as somebody kind of looking for help or a handout or something like that. I'm already prepared. I just need that opportunity. So that's what I mean by that strategic and very effective networking that you have to do. So I think those two are probably the best path to go in. And also the third option, which I didn't have at the time, if you're in college or just graduating, there's a lot of APM, associate product management positions that pop up from time to time, rotational product management roles. Take advantage of those if you can. Those are very competitive and hard to get into. But again, if you qualify, definitely throw your hat into the ring.
I feel like I've never heard someone describe how to network effectively like that. I think that's a great way to break it down, where a lot of people think networking is just trying to set up meetings and kind of go in blind and open-ended for these kind of conversations. But you're saying like you kind of have to do a lot of the work ahead of time, and you got to do the work for the other person. And you should, right? Because you're asking them for help. So you got to like do like 90% of the work, and hopefully they can just easily push you over the last 10%. So how do you recommend people be prepared for these kind of conversations when you are networking with the intention of trying to eventually find a thread that leads you to a job?
Yeah, I'll give three different recommendations that come to me top of mind. One, you should have a mentor. And the difference between a mentor and like these coffee chats is your mentor is where you can be vulnerable. Your mentor is where you can ask these stupid questions. If you bombed an interview, you can bring that to them. That's where you be fully vulnerable. The coffee chats now, that's where you're coming in from a more prepared state, where you already had these tough conversations. Now, again, you're treating it as if it's an interview. It's more laid back. It's more formal. You can talk about your ups and downs and things of that nature. But again, you never know who's going to be on the end of the call. See, you can get people to really want to help you and send a referral, whatever the case may be. Two, definitely dive into the world of product management. What I mean by that, podcasts like what we're listening to now, YouTube, books, everybody reads the Marty Kagan books and things of that nature. All of those help you to understand the mindset of a product manager. That's all of those things are. Product management is a continuously learning job. Nobody has mastered it yet, despite what the gurus on LinkedIn may say. Everybody's figuring it out day to day. So the more knowledge you can acquire, then the better you can come across of being prepared. And three, putting yourself out there and believing in yourself. A lot of times you jump on these calls and you already think, oh man, I'm never going to get this position, or I'm not going to understand. So a lot of belief in yourself, that's half the battle right there. So I think those three steps can really help you to be prepared.
So you mentioned earlier that you discovered the world of product management because you're starting to do some of these kind of functions. And I think
Mhm.
for people that are hear about the word product manager, maybe they work with one, maybe they know of a product manager at their company, but they're not aware of the intricacies of all the things that a PM, a product manager, has to do. Can you share some specific aspects of the role that I guess you would consider core of product manager? And then like maybe specifically, what did you find that was so interesting that led you down to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, that's a great question there, because a lot of times, if you look on just LinkedIn and things of this nature, product management seems so glorious, which it does definitely has those aspects to it. But then I go back again to the mentor. The job description says one thing. Let me talk to the mentor that actually been there 5, 10 years. Tell me what your pitfalls are. Because one thing you'll find is that everybody, as a product manager, you may have a superpower. I like to think of my superpower as being able to analyze and understand data. Another person outside of your superpower, what type of product manager do you want to be? Do you want to work on back end products, the customer forward products and things of that nature? What industry do you want to work in? You want to work in tech? You want to work in fashion? You want to work in banking? There's so many different things from there. So probably anybody listening to this will resonate with a field or something that they're interested in. Chances are there's probably a product management role that can kind of nudge you in that direction as well.
So you were already doing some kind of self-study before enrolling in, and we haven't gotten to this yet, but you
Yeah.
eventually enrolled in product school, which is a product management boot camp. But before that, you already do some self-studies to learn more about the field, to learn more about the role itself. Can you tell us more about how far that went? Like what any resources that you use? Like how did you, I guess, how much can you self-learn this kind of role?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I definitely was doing that. In today's day and age, there's a Udemy course or whatever kind of online course you can take, which are great. They'll help you understand basics, the day to day to a certain extent. But the one issue with these courses is that they don't talk back. I can't pause the video for my instructor and ask the question and go from there. And that's the difference between these online courses, which again, is about preparedness, getting you to that next step to be able to talk and think like a product manager. But the difference is when you go to a boot camp, you can stop, ask questions. You have these resources and things of that nature. So I think that self-taught can get you so far, but then there's another step you'll have to take after that.
So after you went through this boot camp, I think a lot of individuals expect to land a job right after completing any boot camp where they go through this program and all of a sudden they get a job. I guess the same kind of fallacy that you experience when you go to a college, right? You go to college and
Yep.
then because you went to college, you should get a job after it. You deserve a job. Could you elaborate more on that misconception about how easy or how maybe how hard it is to actually get a job after going through a boot camp like this?
Yeah, I love the college comparison, because once upon a time you go to college, you get a degree, and 2 weeks later you're in your career. Then that's unfortunately not really the case anymore. And when it comes to these boot camps, I would always say go into these boot camps with a mindset of bettering yourself at whatever position it is. The job will come. I went into the boot camp knowing that I've gotten myself this far. How do I take it another step further? How do I talk to people, really challenge myself and hear from coaches and instructors saying, hey, maybe you should think about it this way. Maybe you should do it this way. And then once I understand those skills, now I'm putting myself in the best position, utilizing my network as well that you get from these boot camps to help me acquire a job. If you go to the boot camp, you learn everything, that's great. But if you coming out of that boot camp in kind of that desperation mindset where, oh my goodness, where's this job? I did the boot camp. I wanted the job to follow immediately. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. But after you exit that boot camp and you have these skills, again, going back to that self-belief and that mindset, and you attack these roles and different interviews head on with all that knowledge you acquired, the job will come.
So after you went through these interviews, can you share a bit about your income trajectory? How did it change after you left the boot camp? Tell us more about what that journey was like for you after you graduated from the boot camp.
Yeah, this is what we're all in it for, right? At the end of the day, bills have to get paid. So that's why what actually nudged me into product management. My brother and sister are both data analysts working for LinkedIn and Horizon Media. And for me, I wanted to get paid like a software engineer. but I didn't want to write code all day. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to get into the weeds with my hands and things of that nature. So I knew product management was the next best thing. So when I was at the startup, my salary was $75,000. Very serviceable. It helped me to do what I needed to do. But at the same time, I was planning for a wedding. I had a lot going on. So after I left there, product school, networking, ended up landing a role at IBM and actually doubled my salary from there. Spent some time at IBM, really great experience, learned, talked to a lot of people. Amazon came along and I doubled my salary again with total compensation involved a little bit over that. So I gave the starting number so the listeners can kind of do a bit of math and work backwards from there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you tell us about how that felt then? Let's say you for double your salary the first time, that first paycheck, or maybe that first job offer, or that letter that you saw that now your salary's twice. You have two times the money you had before each paycheck. What was that experience like? How did that feel for you?
Yeah, it created a lot of imposter syndrome because I'm like, I can't believe these people are paying me all of this money and I'm still, trying to figure it out. But again, going back to that self-belief, you belong there, you deserve it. And you have to tell yourself that and remind yourself that as you're going through the motions. A lot of people, when they land their first product role, they're going in saying, oh my goodness, I'm going to get fired and things of that nature. You have to go in with that positive belief. So imposter syndrome came, but also a lot of financial freedom. I doubled it again. By that time, I was talking to more higher up people, directors of product and things of that nature. And comparison can be the thief of joy, but comparison in this sense kind of helped me because I know what my salary was now, but now I know what my mentor is making. I'm like, oh, okay, there's still a lot of work to do in that regard. And money isn't everything. Some people are okay staying where they are as well. But it just gave me a bit of understanding that be thankful for where I am now and just cherish it, continue to invest and be very wise with my funds. So that the second time I was more so grounded. It wasn't the shock and awe as it was the first time. It was, again, I deserve this. This was always coming my way. Let me just put my head down and continue to work.
You had a lot of these kind of career transitions, new jobs like during the pandemic when tech was hiring like crazy back then,
Yeah.
and things have changed since then. What have you seen as like the job market today? If someone were to be in your shoes, where they either self study or trying to break into the tech industry as a product manager, trying to go to a boot camp, or maybe they're going through one now and looking to get a new job soon. What's your, I guess, feeling, the barometer on the job market today for product management?
Yeah. The job market today is super, super competitive. I have a lot of friends that were at Google, Meta, and a lot of these places where they got laid off, and now they're competing for the same jobs as everyone else. What I will say in regards to that is you have to be diligent and never stop. One of the reasons why I love LinkedIn is because you can go on there, you can post and make a lot of noise and a lot of splash, and you'll get a lot of recruiters reaching out, people that want to help you and things of that nature. So you're not only networking with a purpose, you're also using LinkedIn with a purpose. So you're going on there talking about a cool product you saw, you're posting your research, you're commenting on other product managers' articles and things of that nature, just showing that engagement. So finding a job and a job market is not just clicking apply and filling out the application. It's all of the other things too. It's the networking, it's the LinkedIn posting, all of these to make you become the ideal candidate. If you just go the old school way of applying, you're just hitting send to your application. You have no idea where it goes. Maybe you can reach out to the recruiter, reach out to somebody at said company and talk on a different level. And the best time to find a job is when you already have a job. If you're not in that position, then the grind can be a bit tougher. But again, all those rules still apply.
So if someone does come up to you and sees, I mean, Tristan has an amazing life now. He loves his career. I want to do what he's doing. I want to be a product manager too. But they know nothing else about it beyond that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And first and foremost, if anybody comes up to me and says, hey, how can I do this? And I tell anybody can do this role. There's nothing special about me or what I did. Anybody can do this role. As long as, you put your mind to it, you can break in. With that being said, just understanding what goes into being a product manager. It's a very highly visible role. You're dealing with a lot of stakeholders. You have a lot of responsibility on the success or failure of a product or feature. So you have to go in knowing that if you're a very introverted person, maybe product management probably won't be the best role for you. Maybe you can be a product manager at a smaller company, but especially when you get to bigger scales, where at IBM, I had global stakeholders in Tokyo, Japan, and Germany, all over the place, where I had to understand the different cultures that each of these locations have. So I'm not presenting myself as kind of like that brash, typical American and things of that nature. Very different cultures you have to understand. And at Amazon, again, you're translating through a lot of writing, and people are very straightforward at Amazon, and you kind of have to have that thick skin in general. Maybe you have a great idea, you present all this data, and then they're like, yeah, this is not a good idea. Try something else. So you have to have that thick skin. You have to have that leadership quality, being able to talk to people and really understanding what they need. You may have an engineer that is taking a bit longer to finish up a feature or bug and things of that nature. How do you motivate them and go from there? So it's a very highly visible role, deals with a lot of communication and a lot of strategic planning as well, right? Because again, going back to success or failure of a feature or a product, every time you use your favorite app, there's probably a product manager working behind that. Every time there's a new feature out and you just hate it, there's a product manager behind that as well. So again, it's a very selfless job at time, a very thankless job at time, but you get the most out of it.
You started that first product manager job right outside of product school. What's something that you wish you knew before becoming a product manager that would have helped, been helpful if you gain this skill set or gain this perspective before starting on your first day on the job?
I think really understanding the level of ambiguity. From the outside looking in, sometimes when you take these courses, everything's kind of plotted out. But even at a company like IBM, where you're working on IBM Cloud, you think you know, but there's another layer of a bunch of things you uncover. And how does it all tie together? What should we eliminate? What should we not work on? So really understanding that level of ambiguity, and ultimately it's up to you to make that decision, depending on your level, of course, where to move forward. At my time at both Amazon and IBM, I had a lot of people just flat out ask me, hey, what should we do next? Which if you're at a more junior position, that's not probably going to happen. They're going to tell you what to do. So depending on your role, you have a lot of ownership and leeway of what you can do, and you'll ultimately tie that back to the success and failure of your product. So just that ambiguity and level of responsibility, that kind of hit me kind of quickly. But again, if you're going in at a lower level role, you have that time to kind of grow into that. So don't let that sound as intimidating as it is.
Speaking of like doing the job or helping doing the job well, are there any specific tools, AI tools even, that you particularly use to help you with your day-to-day job?
The usual tools, nothing outside of the ordinary, like depending on the company, Jira, Trello, just to track and make sure I'm on top of everything. When it comes to AI, I use AI a lot for a lot of proofreading. Is this long document that I'm working on, is it understandable? Is it comprehensive, and things of that nature? I've been dabbling with AI on a bit of other things like content and Gen AI. That's been bit of more some personal projects that I'm working on. But AI is going to be here to stay, and I can't wait to see when it infiltrates more of the product management role for your day to day rather than what I'm working on. And I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like I feel like I know the answer to this already, but it's not being seen as a threat right now to product management. But a lot of people in tech are saying like they're feeling their jobs are being threatened by AI. What are your thoughts on the future of AI?
Yeah, you flash back a couple of years, and people had threats that their horses will be replaced by cars and automobiles, right? There's always that threat of the next thing replacing whatever is a hot thing today. And if you go in with that mindset, then you'll ultimately be doomed. But if you understand how AI can help you ultimately, because product management, there's a lot of tangible things that AI just isn't there yet to really understand. Again, talking to customers and hearing their very specific niche problems. For somebody, their problem might be a business reason. For another person, their problem might be this product doesn't work because I have a family or something like that. AI really cannot discern all of that to a certain degree yet. So, but AI can help boost your productivity, boost your day to day. I have a friend that basically doesn't respond to emails anymore because they have AI taking a lot of the busy work away and replying automatically to a lot of their emails so they can focus on what needs to be done. So yeah, AI can replace some aspects of my job, the tedious aspect of my job, the toiling aspect of my job, so I can get back to what I really like and what's fun. So it's like when you're playing a video game, you have to go from one destination all the way to the other side of the map, and you can just quickly fast travel and you're there instantly. So I think that's how AI can be supplemented.
I'll leave this last question then. What would you say is like maybe your hottest take or most controversial take about the product management career that maybe your colleagues don't agree with, or that you find people don't wholeheartedly agree with your thoughts on this area?
I think that a lot of the product management principles today probably should be updated. And what I mean by that is a lot of these companies are kind of stuck in these product management ways that don't really work. And what I really love about Amazon is that they allow you to move really quickly and break something and just keep moving forward. So maybe this is more so of a cultural thing, maybe not just about product, where other companies, we're stuck on this, we're going to do this no matter what, we're going to make it work. It launches 3 or 4 months later, they're going to have to sunset that product. So I think it's not so much about product itself. It's more so of a culture adapting to what product can be, what product management can be. This is really difficult to answer off the fly. So that's just one thing that's been top of mind, just moving from company to company, seeing how they do product, talking to other people within the field, how they do product. And some people are doing it like it's, product management would be, I guess, 10 years ago, and not really updating with the times and using more of, waterfall methods, 2 week sprints. So I think product management should be more adaptable, whether it's to the role, to the team, or to the company. And other companies kind of stuck in their way are going to fall behind.
Yeah, I think it's a really astute observation, because I think, again, going back to the point about how maybe you don't see it this way since you're in this space, but like the role and the job functions kind of obscure that there's not as much kind of cross, I don't know, dissemination of like how to do things that doesn't happen unless people change jobs. But like there's not a
Mhm.
lot of as much conversation around it, and I think more of that is definitely helpful. So appreciate you coming on here, Tristan. Again, Tristan, the senior product manager at Amazon and an alumni product school, which is a product management boot camp. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience, your advice, and your journey with us.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Feel free to reach out anytime.